it seems like too often for too long, we've had issues with how this state keeps our children safe, right? Well, that's why we're launching this big new project called DCS State of Failure. And really, throughout this whole year, a lot of our newsroom, a lot of our headlines, a lot of our newscasts have led with these pretty horrific cases of child deaths, right? And that's why we're doing this, because we've gotten to a point where promises have been made for decades to get this system fixed. And here we are with the same history repeating itself over and over again. So again, I'm Dave Biscobing, here with Ashley Holden, Melissa Blasius, and Jen Kovaleski. And we're really going to break down together what this new project is all about and why we're doing it. In short, we're in this for the long haul, and we want to see this system actually make some positive steps forward so we can, in fact, keep kids safe. I think the biggest case that's in the news right now is the Rebecca Baptiste case. You've probably done the most reporting on that. Just for anyone watching, can you just take us through just the general situation with what happened with Rebecca?
Yeah, and this is one of those cases that so many people are talking about, so many people asking why was more not done, and that's kind of what we're looking at here, and specifically with her case. So she was a 10-year-old girl. She was living here in the Valley with her dad and his girlfriend and her two siblings, and then in July, they moved to a very remote area of Apache County. And weeks later, Holbrook police found her severely injured, unresponsive. They met the family at an intersection there. And Rebecca Baptiste died 3 days later here at Phoenix Children's. She was transported here. And so we're hearing from the school now, after we did our initial reporting, that they had repeatedly reached out to DCS, that they were very concerned about abuse and neglect with not only Rebecca, but also the kids in the home, her siblings as well. And so that was really the jumpstart of our reporting there with her case. And it's so tragic.
How many times is the school saying that they notified DCS of potential abuse, neglect?
They say a dozen times.
Dozen.
And DCS came back and said that they only received 5 calls and only one of those, met reporting criteria. But we have gotten kind of a breakdown of all of the different calls DCS says they got regarding the family. And in the last 2 years, 7 reports of abuse or neglect, 5 that had open cases and were investigated. And I think it's important to note that there was 1 open case still when Rebecca Baptiste was found so injured and died 3 days later, and that DCS had been trying to locate the family still for this open case, for this report of abuse that came in May when Rebecca died.
Before we move on to some other horrific cases we've covered this year, you've traveled up to where she was living. They were living in what's called, I guess, a yurt.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of describe what that is, what it looks like, and what the conditions were in this yurt?
Yeah, and from court documents, Richard Baptiste, her father, who is now charged in her death along with his girlfriend, Anicia Woods, Richard actually told investigators that this was his great-uncle's property, that his great-uncle had passed away recently, and so that is allegedly why they moved up there. But this yurt, so many people have been actually asking, what is a yurt? It's kind of like a yurt tent, and it was off of what's a small house that is also on the property, but the family was living in this small yurt tent. It didn't have reliable electricity. The kids were having to bathe using a bucket and cups. They were having to use well water. And this is, when I say remote, it's very remote. The neighbors told us that everyone's living on 40 acres. And the closest thing that we could see was an RV that was so off in the distance. There's bushes, there's cactus, there's, desert area. And we were hearing from neighbors, and we've heard from reports and records that Rebecca was allegedly running away. And to think about a 10-year-old little girl running away in the desert in Concho, Arizona, it's hot. There's, all these different, like I said, cacti that she's dealing with. That's a lot to think about, and a lot to think about where they were living.
I mean, we have a 10-year-old girl with repeated complaints about neglect or abuse, and the family moves them away to this remote place where no one can even get eyes on her.
Yeah.
All right, there's been some other cases too. We have, Emily Pike and Zariah Dodd. I know that we've all of you have kind of covered these here and there.
So let's talk a little bit about Emily Pike. Now, Emily Pike was not in the DCS system per se. She was actually from the San Carlos Apache tribe. And so the way DCS kind of is involved in this is that the tribe moved her to a DCS licensed foster home. It was actually a group home, so it's congregate care. It's multiple foster kids living together in a facility with staff members, not a traditional family, supervising them and providing for their care. Emily Pike was moved to a group home. We know that she was moved to several different kinds of placements, some involving behavioral health. For a while, she was staying with another relative for a very short while. She ended up running away in January of 2025. Again, she had a history of running away from the group home. There's a lot of talk about she wanted to go back with her family. And she ran away. Then a few weeks pass, and we know that her body was found up in Gila County, not far from the San Carlos Apache Reservation, and that she had been murdered. That murder is still unknown. Police are still investigating the case, but as we kind of look at this, we look at how she was failed by the system, and we are taking a really deep look now into the care that group homes provide and what the requirements are, and why can't DCS get more kids into foster homes, traditional parent foster homes where they're living kind of a more family environment, because the experts say that is way better for kids and they have way better outcomes.
And we actually traveled up to the San Carlos Apache tribal land, spoke with the chairman, and it's a very complex issue because the tribe actually does have a group home there on their tribal land, but it only serves about a dozen kids. And there are obviously more kids that are in need. And we've seen state lawmakers, they had a public hearing, and some of the focus coming out of that was the communication and also security at the group homes. And I think initially it was Emily Pike's case that really got a lot of focus and attention on this conversation that we're having here.
And there are, by some estimates, thousands of kids that are coming from tribal communities who are in some sort of foster care, and multiple tribes. And one of the questions really is DCS working with them? Are they working with DCS? Are they communicating? The rules can be somewhat different between the two. And so what are we doing to come together for the best interest of all Arizona's kids?
Zariah Dodd also was in a facility, right? And
Zariah Dodd is another really tragic case. As Melissa was mentioning, this is one where Zariah Dodd was actually in the custody of DCS. She was in a group home. She's 16 years old. She becomes pregnant. And I think the story with this and the questions with this case is the missed warning signs. We know that she was 15 years old and she told her caseworker shortly after it's found out that she's pregnant that she was scared into having sex with a 36-year-old man who police say is the father of her unborn baby and is now accused of, police say he had someone else have her killed. That's what led to her murder. And in the months before, she told her caseworker that she was scared into having sex with this individual. And DCS says they reported this to police back in April, but 3 months go by before there's any kind of forensic interview. That forensic interview is scheduled for July 8th. She's found dead on July 5th in the morning hours. And that interview was scheduled days later. So there's a lot of questions about the gap there. Could more have been done to help this 16-year-old who was saying she was afraid and was saying that she was scared? She even texted a roommate at the group home in the hours after she walks away or goes missing from this group home. There's also questions about when did the group home report her missing? They say they did this promptly, but we know that children running away from these group homes is an issue. And is DCS doing enough about that? And I think that those are a lot of the questions we're asking in this case is who should have done more? Why wasn't more done sooner? And could this have been prevented?
so I'm going to talk to you about your recent interview with the DCS director, the newish DCS director, in a minute, but just to kind of give a history of this agency. DCS was created 11 years ago in 2014. And really, it's because the previous version of it, CPS, was such an abysmal failure. And that's not our words. It's the literal words of the government, the governor at the time, pretty much. they abolished CPS and they created this new agency. It was supposed to be this new beginning with this promise that there would be no more excuses, no more uninvestigated cases. Because at the time, the big scandal that kind of led to CPS's disbandment or, being abolished was there's, I think, a couple thousand complaints that just fell into I don't want to say fell into the cracks. They just were not checked. And so this is an agency that is for decades, this is a system, not an agency that for decades has had a ton of problems. And now we're here 10 years, more than a decade later, 11 years, where things are supposed to have been fixed and corrected. And we're still seeing cases like we just talked about. So now that really led us to why we're doing this project. And as part of us launching this, really doing the sustained effort, we were able to get the DCS director to sit down for an interview. I think it's the first time anyone's perhaps really heard from her in an in-depth way. What were your biggest takeaways from that?
So DCS Director Catherine Patak, she sat down before our cameras and answered a lot of questions. She answered questions about Emily Pike. She answered questions about Soraya Dodd and Rebecca Baptiste. I think the big takeaways are they're committed to change. They don't know what that change looks like yet. They want to wait for this task force that lawmakers have created, for the stakeholder meetings. And in addition, there's some critical incident reviews going on in all of these cases. She was able to say a lot more about Rebecca Baptiste's case because this is a case where there's been substantiated abuse and neglect. And we learned some things from the interview with the new DCS director that we haven't heard before. She talked about the fact that when she's looking back at this case history, she has some questions. And those questions, there's really two big questions. One, when these calls were coming into the hotline, because there's that disconnect, right? There were 12, at least 12 times the school says they called. DCS only investigated at least 5 times in recent years. Some of those didn't meet the threshold, but there were some that came in that she's questioning whether they should have been marked criminal conduct. And what that means is when it's marked criminal conduct, it could, if true, potentially lead to felony child abuse charges, sex crimes charges, and it also, there's a law enforcement piece that comes into it. So it's investigated perhaps a little bit more thoroughly. And that didn't happen in some of these calls. She questions, as she calls in hindsight bias, if that should have happened in some of these calls. So they're looking at that. Do we need changes with the hotline and the boxes they're checking when they come in? She did say that they get 160,000 calls to this hotline a year. So a lot of calls are coming in. What needs to be done on that side of it? She also said that as she's looking at the cases, she noticed that some of these cases were closed fairly quickly. Why is that? She wants to look into the decision-making process. She points out that, the caseworkers involved in this, nobody wants this to be the outcome. You can't imagine what these caseworkers are going through. Nobody, that's not what they go into this. They're doing the best that they can. They made the decisions they made. She wants to understand why. What led to their decision. At the time, they thought that was the right decision. Clearly, looking at it now, we all have questions. The public has valid questions, and they want to get to the bottom of it. She also said they want the right changes. They don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction and get to the root cause, because she also mentioned, and I thought this was interesting, that she said if we were to look this month, I would guess that we've taken more kids away because the workforce is very vigilant. They've had multiple deaths and they swing the other way, and she wants to make sure that that doesn't happen either, is that more kids are taken away from homes, but you also there's the balance there, and what does that look like? So we have a lot to share in that interview. She talked about a lot of different topics, and I think she is committed to change, but exactly what that change looks like is still being determined.
So as we kind of wrap up this discussion here, I think a couple things that we want to point out is that we're going to keep investigating the things that we've been looking into for, a long time, but we're going to do it in a very much more cohesive, long-lasting, coordinated way. I know we're going to keep investigating cases like the Baptiste case. We're going to keep looking into some stuff that you've looked in the past with the medical care of kids in DCS
that's another
custody.
big issue.
Yeah. And, the issues with group homes is something you're going to continue to look at. We're going to look at turnover within the agency, which is incredible. We're going to look at these deaths, past ones, new ones, but we also want to let anybody that's watching our coverage and anybody that works in the system who's impacted by the system know that we're open to hear anything and everything. We're setting up a special email. It's DCS at ABC15.com. We need to hear from people because we know some things. It's impossible for everyone to know everything. And so we need people on the inside, people impacted, to reach out to us. Our goal is simple. We got to make it better than it is. and we got to make it a lot better than it's historically been, which has frankly been pretty terrible. And while they say they're making some good steps forward, we want to make sure that we're ensuring that happens, that there's follow through, that there's accountability, because we see this, ebb and flow, right? There's an interest and then it wanes and then more kids die. And then there's another interest, and we don't want to keep seeing these new waves of these horrific incidents. So we hope people will continue to follow our investigation as it now is really getting going. Again, it's called DCS State of Failure. And we hope that people will watch, people will care, people will pay attention, and that we get this solved. So thank you for watching.